Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Rick Velotta joins us. He covers business for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot clothing store and a whole lot more. For the cold days ahead, jackets, hoodies, flannel shirts, insulated bib overalls, thermal underwear, beanies, and merino wool socks. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more. As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Carson Valley Inn, it's your place for the good times. Carson Valley Inn.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Rick Velotta. He is the tourism and gaming reporter for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Always a pleasure to have you back on the program, sir.
Welcome to my home office.
Well, it's a very nice home office. You look very relaxed, considering that this week is going to be an incredibly busy week for you. We're taping this on the morning of January 8th, and CES is really already underway. You attended a press briefing for what's coming up this week. Tell us what you learned.
Well, the buzzword of artificial intelligence is alive and kicking at CES. That was something that a lot of different folks were talking about in terms of how it's going to affect people, pros and cons. But the point of yesterday's was to actually get a little preview of some of the gadgets that are going to be displayed at this year's CES. And there were about 300 different companies that were placed in a hall at Mandalay Bay, which in itself was a kind of a nightmare, considering that the football game was across the street.
Oh my goodness!
That's another story. But the fact is that the some of the things that I saw yesterday were pretty incredible. Kind of a device that helps you diagnose yourself and you connect to your medical professional. That was something that was kind of neat. An all-electric motorcycle that was on display. And a number of other things that there's just so many things at CES that it's kind of hard to pick out one or two.
Now, is CES the biggest convention of the year?
This past couple of years, it's been number 2 behind SEMA, which is the aftermarket, the automotive aftermarket show that happens in late October, early November. But the numbers this year at CES are 130,000 people that are planned to be there. So it might just kind of bump itself back up into the number 1 position, depending on what SEMA looks like.
So let me ask you this about AI, because it seems to me that artificial intelligence has been around for quite a while. For example, and I'm going to set off everybody's phone here, but if you say hello Siri or whatever your device is, that's artificial intelligence. So many things that we deal with in our homes that we communicate in the same way are artificial intelligence. Is that really a buzzword right now, rather than being something that's brand new and that we should all be concerned about?
Well, it's not brand new, and you're right; it's been around for quite some time. But I think that what's different now is that there's a more awareness of some of the things that could go wrong if improperly used. Then that's where I think people start to get a little bit nervous about things, because they've known it's been in existence. They've actually used it and probably didn't even realize that they were using it. But then all of a sudden we start seeing some of the examples of how artificial intelligence can go wrong, and therefore cause some problems that you didn't really anticipate. I don't know that this is something that's a huge issue or a huge problem, but it does have everybody's attention.
One of the things that surprised me, in a way at least, was for the Consumer Electronics Show to not include the Sphere as part of its deal. And they're saying because the cost was too high. Did James Dolan make a mistake, or is he just putting out the word that if you want to use the Sphere, you're going to have to pay?
I think it's the latter. He does want to make back the money that he invested into the Sphere, which was much more than he anticipated was going to be the case. And like you, I was very surprised that the Sphere wasn't somehow a part of the CES programming. We've been told for a long time about all the attributes of the Sphere and how you can use, you can have a bunch of different people who speak different languages in different parts of the building, and the sound will be beamformed directly to them so that they can understand without even having to put any headphones on. That I thought was a pretty cool feature that would have come in really handy for some of the CES, because we've got 150 different countries represented at CES. So having that type of capability available to you seems like a no-brainer. But yet when I spoke with the CES hierarchy, they said that that it was just too pricey for them, and they were going to take a pass this time. I'm sure that a lot of people who are attending CES will go over to the Sphere, probably take in the film that's being shown right now. But as far as a sponsored CES event, that hasn't happened, and it doesn't appear it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Now, you and I have both experienced the Sphere, and I would recommend to anybody who's planning on being in Las Vegas or lives in Las Vegas, reserve your tickets to see that movie, because it is definitely worth the price of admission. Let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about another big event that just passed, and there's been a lot of positive and a little bit of negative right after this time out.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rick Velotta. He covers business for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Formula One, obviously a massive hit for the bigger properties that were part of the event, but a huge blowback from both the public, from businesses, and from other casinos that weren't in the middle of this, who didn't do nearly as well as they thought. And my initial thought on this was, well, it was the first year. Everybody's got to figure out how to make it work for them. What's your thought on this?
Well, I think at first some of the large properties kind of overshot things a little bit. They expected there were going to be much more, that people were going to be willing to pay much more for rooms when they arrived. And the reason why I say that is because when we were getting closer to the event itself, like maybe a month out, we were seeing prices reduced considerably at a number of different properties. Now, some of the properties didn't see that. I was speaking to some of the executives at Wynn Resorts, and they had no, they didn't reduce their ticket prices at all, or their ticket prices, their room prices at all. But then some of the big ticket places at the Caesars properties, for example, they did cut back by as much as 50 to 75%, which seems like a lot. But then you start to consider that they were offering packages for $5,000 a night, package deals, which included tickets to the race event itself. But once you started to see those go down, you knew that they had kind of overshot things in terms of their ability to recognize just how popular this was going to be. As it turned out, though, everybody showed up. It was a pretty good event in terms of people coming here. And the resorts that did benefit were very pleased with that. They made tons of money. The gaming numbers show that, and a number of other different amenities that are generally paid for when you go on a trip to Las Vegas. They did very well, but some of the other ones, as you pointed out, did not do as well.
All right, so first of all, do you know if Caesars actually sold that $1 million package they put out there several months ago? Did anybody
I believe
take
that they did have some takers, but I can't confirm that for sure, but I believe that was the case.
It strikes me that, when you look at NFR, the National Finals Rodeo, that's a good example for the other properties of what Formula One can be, which is that if you go to the National Finals Rodeo, you may not have tickets to Thomas and Mack, but there are events at every casino that are connected to NFR. And doesn't it strike you that that's what everybody else should be doing, especially the downtown casinos, is having events that accompany Formula One, not necessarily are Formula One?
Yeah, and that's been something that NFR is very proud of, is that they are the template for what a special event should be about. Obviously, hundreds of thousands of people over a 10-day period come for the rodeo, but they only have 11,000 seats that they sell every night. So the math doesn't add up. Well, the reason is because there are so many other extra auxiliary events that are very popular with some of the people that come, including country western performers. You usually can't find something that's not country western that 10-day period, which is fine. And you see a lot of people wearing the hats. A lot of people become cowboys for a week. It's all kind of fun, and certainly it's not lost on people that come here that don't have tickets to the rodeo, that they're going to have a good time, even though they may not be able to actually see it in person. There's so many resorts now that have the closed circuit feeds of the rodeo itself. So they're in there. They're in a room with a lot of people who are fans just like them. So it's a good time. You don't have to be in the arena to enjoy the NFR.
All right, so hopefully that template works out. What about the business owners that complained? There was one restaurant owner put out a piece over the weekend, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure exactly which publication it came out in, but was talking that he had lost millions of dollars of revenue at his restaurant over this period of time. Is there any discussion about what can be done to help businesses that get shut down because of all the planning and road work, et cetera? And I know they don't have to pave the roads every year, but the whole setup is going to be back next year, and it's going to cause problems for these businesses. Any discussion about that so far?
Well, the Clark County has talked about having a pretty rigorous report that kind of explains who won and who didn't win. And certainly there's going to be a lot of interest in that. I believe there'll be some public meetings that will be discussing that very topic, and how some of the businesses that didn't fare as well are going to be able to be compensated. I don't think anybody has come out and said, hey, we're going to write you a check for some of your losses. But that is certainly something that some of the businesses that have been affected are talking about. Is there a way that those who did do very well during this particular event, is there a way that some of the revenue that's been generated can be moved over to some of those that lost money? So it's still a wait and see situation to see what the final outcome of that is. But at least there's discussion going on. And as you pointed out, next year probably won't be quite as bad, because they're not going to have to close roads as early as they did this year in order to do the paving necessary on the race course.
I talked to Mike Lawton the other day via email, and he's going to come on the program next month and discuss some of the numbers. But one of the things that stood out to me was that this was the second biggest month for Las Vegas gaming-wise. And the thing that struck me, what was the biggest month if this was the second biggest month?
Well, it was actually earlier in the summer, because and here's the funny part about how numbers are a part of the equation. The month of November, which is what they were measuring, has 30 days, and the month of July has 31. That one extra day, believe it or not, has an impact on the overall picture. So July of 2023 was the largest of the months that for gaming win, they call it. It's revenue that's generated by the casinos at the tables and the slot machines. So even though it was not the biggest month ever, the only reason why is because there's one less day to count.
Isn't that crazy? That is,
yeah, it's amazing. And the fact that there was so much baccarat play, it kind of reflects the audience that was in town. The European gamblers, that's their game of choice. So you'll see that the baccarat numbers were really high in November, and some of the others were not quite as high. But then when you have a general crowd that comes in July, they basically leisure tourist people that come in July, they'll play slots more often, they'll play blackjack more often, and baccarat's not quite as lucrative as it is when you have an audience specifically geared like the F1 crowd was.
Do we have numbers available through the Convention Authority or elsewhere that show the revenue for food, beverage, entertainment?
There are some, we expect to see some of those numbers when the earnings reports are filed. So the LVCVA only does ADRs, which is average daily room rates, and a few metrics that are surrounding that. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more made in the food and beverage area, and gaming, obviously. But the LVCVA doesn't track that, but we do expect to see some of those numbers towards the end of this month, when some of the companies that are publicly traded will be reporting their earnings reports. They usually break it out a little bit more in terms of what food and beverage looks like, what other revenue sources look like.
Right after the Formula One race, we had Pat Mulroy on the show, who's a board member of Wynn. And if we can judge by the grin on her face, it was a very good weekend for Wynn. One last quick question here in this segment. So in the middle of all this, as if this weren't enough, the Fontainebleau opens. What are the initial reports you're hearing from the Fontainebleau?
Well, the Fontainebleau, it's been anticipated for, more than a decade. So people had really high expectations. And the property itself is beautiful. You go inside, they've got a lot of high ceilings. They've got a lot of artwork around. It's a really nice property, luxury targeted as far as getting people to come in that are of the higher income area. But as far as the property itself, I think that some of the internal reports that we're not able to confirm indicate that they didn't do as well as they expected. But that's probably part of the process of getting a property opened. It's probably part of the process of kind of working out the bugs that are involved whenever you have a big operation like Fontainebleau opening the doors. By comparison, Durango also opened, and that got excellent reviews. It was pretty amazing that people were very excited about a locals property that is in a part of town that doesn't have a lot of casino traffic to do as well as they did. And the reason why, I think, is that the Durango property had some features in it that we haven't really seen much of before. Lots of floor to ceiling windows. It's a very bright and airy place. People just like that. They like the fact that you could see across the casino and it's not really dark and dank.
Well, it's always funny when a property opens and 15 minutes later they're talking about their first expansion. Let's take another break and we'll be right back, because there's one more little thing that's coming up for Las Vegas in the near future that you're going to want to hear about after this.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Safety is the #1 priority for the trucking industry. Over $7 billion a year is spent on technology like this electronic eye that will apply the brakes automatically. But the most important factor for safety is the truck driver. These hardworking men and women who safely move over 70% of our nation's freight and 94% of Nevada's. We thank you, because trucks move America forward.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the heat back on today. Call us today and we'll fix it today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why freeze for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your furnace fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we've talked about Formula One, we've talked about CES, we've talked about the opening of the Fontainebleau, And I'm here with Rick Velotta, who covers business, including tourism and gaming for the Las Vegas Review-Journal. You got this little thing coming up here next month called the Super Bowl. And there's already they're already talking about making this a regular part of the Super Bowl circuit in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that would be something that Las Vegas certainly would be in favor of.
Yes.
as you know, this game wasn't even supposed to even happen this year, which is all the more amazing to me. It was supposed to be in New Orleans, but because of the dates of Easter are a lot earlier this year, the Mardi Gras was affected in New Orleans, so they asked if they could be pushed back a year, which they did, and Las Vegas instead became the site for Super Bowl 58. So the planning process has been in place for several months, and it looks like they're pretty much ready. This is going to be something that's going to be even bigger, I think, in many respects than F1 was, just because there's so much more popularity, and it also is going to depend on which teams show up for that game as to how big it's going to be.
It's really been just an unbelievable year for Las Vegas. Now, I'm not talking about calendar year, I'm just saying the last year. And it just keeps going, and you've got so much more coming. An arena, another stadium. I mean, well, you know what this means, Rick? It means I'm going to be calling you and asking you to come back on the show on a regular basis, sir. So
happy to talk about it.
Yeah, talk to you in February. How about that?
That sounds good.
All right. Rick Velotta, thank you so much always for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Sam, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And we'll be right back. Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers. You can catch us online 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, or you can download the podcast wherever you like to get your podcast. We'll see you on the next broadcast.